Thanks for being with us. You will recall that during the week, the President, Muhammadu Buhari, ordered the reinstatement of Governor Malabuni as the interim national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, after a meeting with Mr. Buni in London. Mr. Buni had been booted out of office on the recommendation of the APC governors following the party's raging internal crisis. Well, it looks like the big parties have a little bit of this and that going on. In fact, we are even hearing about court cases and all that. But, you know, let's look at how we can engender party internal democracy. We're talking democracy, the dividends of democracy. But how can we achieve that when even the parties are not democratic? Those who are putting forward candidates for us to vote for are not democratic themselves. We have in the studio with us this morning a legal practitioner, Chief Godi Uwazurike. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And we have joining us via Zoom the founder of Nigeria First Initiative, Ezekiel Nya Etuk, who joins us via Zoom from Uyo. Morning, Ezekiel.
Good morning. Pleasure to be on your station. Actually, I'm joining you from Owerri, where I've come to celebrate my mother-in-law's 90th birthday celebration. Lady Catherine Ononimu.
Obviously, you're going to get, excuse me, unfortunately, you can't get a refund of the dowry, but this will add more, more value to you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Well, are you as disturbed? Let me begin. Well, you're a politician. Perhaps a good question, a good way to start with you would be, for you, what are the things? We don't want to assume that we understand why there is poor internal democracy among parties. What, in your opinion, causes such internal rifts within political parties?
Okay, I'll really appeal. This question is extremely fundamental. You just give me about 3 to 5 minutes to lay a certain foundation that will help us to understand what is going on. Number one is that we don't know what political parties are. Political parties are not a recruitment club for politicians. Political parties are a school where you should groom people that will come to occupy the management position called government. Government is a management position, and the recruitment agency for that management position of our country or any constitution is the political parties. Now, when you come into the political parties are either A or B. A is generality of people who come together, get an agenda for the party, which they call the manifesto, recruit members, and these members contribute both ideas and finances to set that agency up so that any person recruited by that agency, they pay their allegiance to the political party and they implement the manifesto of the political party. Then there is B, where the people refuse to play their role of contributing both ideas and monies to run the party. They outsource it to people who fund the parties. Either they are institutions like, let me be very straight, like a man like Obong Tinubu, you can see that he funds the systems and organizes the structure. Or in some states, the governor, who kind of takes control of the system, funds it. Within that context, whoever pays the piper dictates the tune. We can't have me fund the structures of the system, and when a decision time comes, you, the structures that I funded, want to take the decision instead of me, who funds the system, taking the decision. So at this point in time, we have political parties that are agencies for state capture by those who can afford, either by way of being government or as having put up the necessary infrastructure. These are the two, and we must reconcile them. Then we can understand why we are having all the rancors and all the ruckus in the political parties.
Okay.
I hope that I have laid a foundation.
That's only a start because, you know, it's not always been like that, you know, but we'll come to other details. Well, Chief Wazirike, you heard him. Do you agree with some of the things that he said, or do you have any?
I think that political parties in other climes will always be those who have a certain view of life, how things should be done. In other words, we reason alike. Let me give you an example with the United States. The Republicans, we all know they're pro-business and pro-tax for everybody. The Democrats would rather say, no, we tax the rich. We provide welfare for the poor people. And that is the basic distinction. The Republicans will tell you we'll take our factories elsewhere, make money, as much money as possible. The Democrats will tell you that means they're depriving the poorer workers opportunities to work. In Britain, you still see somebody, I belong to the far right, I belong to this and that. This is view of life. But also in Nigeria. In Nigeria here, you say somebody, oh, I donated $1 million. Therefore, whatever I say will happen. And it so happens. In other words, you only do it follow in Nigeria, which is why somebody will say, the structure is mine, the money is mine, so whatever I tell you, or in our street language, you say, I own the party, or the owners of the party have decided. And this is why they brought this dangerous word, consensus. You and I, okay, let's share. You take chairman, I'll take secretary. That is not right.
And that is not democracy.
That's not democracy at all. Because we're talking of government of the people, for the people, by the people. In other words, if this will get into government...
Is that to say, Chief, that the parties are faulty at birth or at the point of creation? I referenced something, and you would know, and so would Mr. Nyaitok. In the First Republic, some of these issues, well, they had their problems, but there was no such ownership of the party, so to speak. In the Second Republic, you know, same case. I mean...
But there was.
No.
NCP...
no, the reason I'm saying that because...
NCNC was believed to belong to Zik, whereas...
in those republics, if memory serves me right, common people had their monies in those parties. They had registers, cards
yes.
of payment,
party cards.
of
and
making
everyone
contributions.
paid their dues.
Yes, into the parties. But I don't know if we had such things now.
No. These days, you don't pay to belong to a party. Apart from that initial registration at the ward level, where you pay a token sum and then donate a big sum to the ward officers. People take from the party, what is this party doing for me? I mean, this party, I'm not getting anything, so I move to another party. But let's give you an example of NCNC. NCNC actually was founded by Herbert Macaulay, who was the first president. Zik was secretary. And when Herbert Macaulay died, Zik became the president. And in those days, I still remember my father having a bunch of, this is how much I paid, this is how much I paid. And if Zik is coming, everybody will close shop. In the Southwest, many of them still display their party card. Up till now, I say, I was said. In those days, it was based on personality of Awo, personality of Zik, personality of Ahmadu Bello. Not Abubakar, Ahmadu Bello. Now, in the Second Republic, it was very close to party belonging to people because MPN was more of a group of people who came together with jostling. But at a point, people like Omar Diko took charge, who would tell Abiola, this party is not for sale. In other words, the owners of the party meant people like Omar Diko. In today's world, the two parties, yes, they started fairly like People's Party, the two major parties. But right now, it is not so. The owners of the party have taken over. In a party like APC, you hear expression like, whatever Buhari says happens. I will never go against the president. That is not democracy. In PDP, you hear of the owners of the party who have decided. They meet in what I would call a conclave and decide. And that is not democracy. Which is why the first time this Electoral Act came up, they removed the word consensus completely. And Mr. President insisted. And what is consensus? Three of us can decide that all the people who are coming to Channel Studio, all of you must bow and genuflect. You hear the officers have decided, whereas it is not so. A political party should allow the members to decide and talk, beginning from the ward level. And that is what democracy is all about.
Ezekiel, you are a politician. What is it that makes it so difficult to run a party the way a party is supposed to be run in Nigeria and not literally just hand over the parties to money bags and then complain that the money bags are the ones running the party?
I'll tell you this very, very, very from what I'll call experiential knowledge. I've not only been a party man at the highest level in PDP, I've been the national chairman and co-founder of a political party, the Young Democratic Party. Now, the experience that I have, or I had, is what I will use one phrase to define: entitlement mentality. In Nigeria, we think in terms of what should come to us and not citizenship responsibility. That is citizenship responsibility against entitlement mentality. For as long as we citizens don't think that we owe it a duty to this country, to our club, to our church, to our society, to do what we ought to do, but keep expecting. I, as the national chairman of a party, I had to resign after 1 year because I could no longer, one, do what others do.
Oh dear.
Well, I'm sure we'll get that back. Because I was going to follow up on that. When you say, when you have raised issues of entitlement mentality, well, thankfully you're here, Chief Wazirike. When you raise issues around entitlement mentality, what options are there for the people, really? Well,
It is the setup that is leading the people into a crisis. Let me just tell you, if I am opposed to this governor, I know that what he's doing is wrong. I now stand on my ground. At a point, I will notice that in my party, I'm not getting any more money. After a professional politician, like most people, do not have any other source of income except that politics.
Professional politician.
So if that is the only source of income I have, I will now look for a way to go and join those who are eating. You know, there was this man, God rest his soul, who said we invited Bola Ige to come and chop. It was horrible. In Osun State, we had the same expression again in the last election. The man was said, oh, we're inviting you to come and chop. That entitlement mentality is what is destroying this country.
How did that come to be? I ask that advisedly. We know how some of these political parties started. Of course, PDP is a coagulation of political movements that evolved into what it became, and a number of other people joined. APC, of course, has gone through all kinds of metamorphoses before it became what it's become now. And we have like maybe another 60 or 70 other parties that we don't hear of except on
Election
on
day.
ballot papers. You know, I don't even hear of most of them on election, during pre-election. I only hear of them, see them on ballot papers, and that is it. So we know how some of these political parties came to be. The question then, Chief, would be, are we doomed to this mentality that you're talking about? Because it would seem like that is the basis for the intra-party rifts we're having.
No, we are not doomed. I am an optimistic person by nature. Yes, we are stumbling, and we have been stumbling for the past 22 years. Where are we stumbling? Mr. President says, I want this man as a party chairman, and they said, Mr. President has spoken. That is wrong. Rather, Mr. President can nominate. When he nominates, let there be another nomination. We are not doomed. One day, we shall overcome. You know, when Mr. President today was coming in 2015, many people expected a lot of changes. One of them was no more corruption, no more injustice, there will be security, improved economy. Now, Mr. President is winding down. It is now left for us to see how far and what lessons do we learn. The first lesson is never deify a sitting president. Nobody must be a deity in politics. We have to speak up. If what Mr. President is doing is wrong, let us tell him so, without any consequences. You know, these days, if you criticize, especially in the North, if you criticize any powerful man, whether on Facebook or anything, the police come and arrest you, charge you to court on a Friday. By the time they consider a bail, it's Saturday and Monday. And by the time you finish, you have spent 4 days. It's not widespread in the South. So people are afraid to speak, and I call on Mr. President to infuse that courage on people to speak up. If people don't speak up, how will you know you're doing well? Let us have that change in entitlement mentality, that change in Mr. President has spoken, that change in governor has spoken. Now, let's just give you an example of RFI. He was on air the other day talking about having met Mr. President. Mr. President said Buni is sacked, and he's so sacked. Bello is taking over, and he's so. And who will succeed him? Mr. President has told me, I won't say it, but he will. You know, that kind of attitude. Everybody now start running. Oh, yes, what has Mr. President said? That's not democracy. Let us stand up.
Okay.
Do we have Ezekiel back?
Well, I don't know if we have, well, I'm sure the directors will let us know when we
Because
have
I
him
want
back.
to now ask...
Oh, he is back. He's back
okay,
now.
yes. You were saying.
Yes, I was saying this concept of entitlement mentality, until we take responsibility, we will always allow the space for these, state capture entrepreneurs to seize the instrument of recruitment of officers to manage the affairs of state. Whether we are going to make progress as a nation or we are not is going to depend largely on the quality of the managers. And the quality of the managers is going to depend on the quality of recruitment of the agency. And the quality of recruitment is going to depend on the intention of the agency. If the people generally contribute to running parties, they will decide who they want to have as the management team of their country. And when it gets to the polls, the people will now have proper managers of our estate, and we will no longer be the poverty capital of the world. But today, as it is, the recruitment agency is the party, and the owners of the party is not the people, but these state capture entrepreneurs. And to that extent, the people that are sent there, either National Assembly, State House of Assembly, the governors or the president, are those that will do the biddings of the investors, these state capture entrepreneurs. The moment we come to terms of this by Nigerians, the moment we come to terms of this by Nigerians, we will then decide to take our future in our hands, get registered to vote, knowing that our vote must count. And I want to thank Mr. President. Let me say it on record. I had said that if Mr. President signed that electoral act, I was going to give him a cow. I want to say that I keep to that promise. And if he tells me where to deliver that cow, I will deliver the fattest female cow in Nigeria to him, because he's done Nigeria amazing good.
Well, Mr. Yaito,
Yes.
I can suggest a place. Just take it to Dara. You know, he has a farm. I mean, maybe that will solve the problem. But, there's some of the issues that you raised. They are quite germane. One of the things that has always agitated my mind is the party structure, the administration of the political parties. I still contend, and you can speak to it because you have been a party chairman, that back in time, even as close as the botched Third Republic, the power, the influence, the role of the national chairman of a political party was not in question to ensure that elected officials of government, elected officials on the platform of the parties, they did the bidding of the party. They followed the manifesto of the party. And that the national chairman was the leader of the party. But what we have today, it would seem like it's an elected officer, like a president or a governor, who has the responsibility of being the party leader, trying to, amalgamate, so to speak, the functions of governance, leading the nation, and providing service to the people with the function of governing a political party. Do you think, what do you make of that? Is that something that should be, or because there are those who wonder, isn't that also part of the reason we're having these intra-party rancors?
I'll tell you this for free. By the time that a national political party who are in power bring a state governor whom alone cannot handle the whole affairs of state to become the national chairman of a party, whom alone as one man cannot really move around, mobilize his people, ensure that you enforce, if you are a governor, you were elected, because the law says that votes are given to the party, which means that we want the manifesto of the party to be implemented. So you, as a national chairman, you want to go around all the governors and say, how are you, implementing the manifestos of the party? You cannot even do it on your own. Then you have a governor occupying the position of a national chairman of a party. It's something my brain just cannot put it together. And these are the people who are coming back to ask for the votes of Nigerians. I hope Nigerians can get wise enough to sit down, have a conversation, decide what they want, and go for it. You see, where you started from is where I would like to anchor at this point before we move on. And that is, we sit down and do all this analysis on television. How many of us on television here are registered? How many of us go to the handles, of all of us on the social media? How many of us are mobilizing the young people within our enclave to say, this is what you should do. This is my PVC. Go and get registered. Go and pay that 1,000. Those of you that can afford. Everybody cannot afford. This is where I made a very valid, suggestion to the national chairman of INEC. It was an open letter. I said, mandate every party to have party registration at 3 levels. 3 levels. This is very important, please. I'll run through it in 1 second. Level 1, active financial members. Active because they have PVC. Level 2, active non-financial members. Level 3, others. What is the difference? In others, it could be primary school, secondary school, people who you want to bring and tutor in the ways of the party, ideologies and everything. So they are not a problem. Anybody, juniors, minors. Level 2, you are registered, but you are not willing to take the responsibility of leadership, which is what you pay for. Level 1 is you are registered, you have your PVC, and you are a financial member. During primaries, all financial members are those that vote. During primaries, all this issue of consensus, the indirect, no. Once you are a financial member, you are the one to vote at all elective positions.
Before you get to that one, Mr. Yetok, you need to first of all check if there is a party register. We'll come to that. But perhaps something just by way of information to the people watching us right now, based on your challenge, is go to, on your phone now, whatever device you're using, cvr.inecnigeria.org. Start the process. If you don't have a voter card, just start the process. We need more people to be involved in this thing.
Okay. Let me just stay with Ezekiel for a little bit, because I'm still not clear what his answer was to my question. Ezekiel, please, are you therefore saying that the money bags have the parties in a stranglehold and will not allow the common person to contribute their little bit, which they used to do before, so that they would actually belong to the party. And they're doing this so that they can adequately control the parties. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The money bags are investors. The money bag are entrepreneurs.
Okay.
The money bags are the state capture specialists. You have a choice. Go into your party, fund the party as well, and then you have a say. You can't sit back at home, and then the party has to be run, the staff have to be paid, elections have to be conducted, the people have to pay for it. Now the money bag says, since these people don't want to come, I want to come. And then they pay for it, and then you now want to have a say. There's always been the old saying that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Why do you want somebody to pay the piper and you come and dictate the tune? As what? Are you God? No.
Ezekiel, is that what happened in your party? Are there any parties that are actually inclusive?
I'll tell you this. That is why when I left YDP that became deregistered, I refused to go back to APC. Any party I went to, I'll be received at the highest level. You know that in this country, any party, APC, PDP, there's none, and I will be close to a spokesperson officially or unofficially for the party. And they all approached me. I'll say this with every sense of responsibility and humility. But I went to ADC. The reason is that that's the only party I've seen who are training their members, who are conducting almost on a monthly basis training programs, research programs, who insist that there must be payment of dues by members who is not big today, because people are now being compelled to say, you cannot pay dues. Look at APC does not pay, PDP does not pay. And they say that is why they are where they are today. As an ADC member, you must pay your dues. So members are starting to decide. ADC is going to have direct primaries where members who are financially active are going to decide who is going. That's why you see everybody coming in. Why do you think a man like Mohalu will come into ADC? Why do you think a man like Chuku Kamoye? These are young people who are movers in the system. Why are they coming to ADC? Why are all? And there's something in the line that a man like Kachiku would be coming into ADC. These are cerebral people. These are the sort of CEOs that Nigeria will want to see them in the realm of powers in this country. Why do you think they are all coming to ADC? Why do you think NLC is now looking at adopting ADC as the mega party? It's because people are sick and tired of this money back politics, and ADC has come in as the party that says, let's do the right thing. Let's have ideology. Let's have people paying for it. Let's have the people deciding. We don't want all these honors of the party. Nobody owns ADC. The man in my ward has as much power as I have. And that is what Nigerians should do. Go and get registered. Join a political party and then decide their affairs. These two big parties, the time has come when we can no longer give them that luxury of they're only ones in the sphere. They are not. And let the media help us. Well, as you talk of APC, PDP, talk of ADC.
Okay. Well, Chief Wazirike, one of the things that we have seen in this republic is a top-down politics as opposed to bottom-up. There are those who contend that, look, shouldn't political parties operate from the localities up? That's what the law says. That's why a ward chairman of a political party can remove the national chairman of a political party as a member of the ward, and then it'll take effect on him, all across board. But in terms of real practice, we seem to have a top to bottom as opposed to a bottom to up approach in political parties. Is that a significant problem for you?
No, it is a real problem. Because you have people who call helicopter politicians.
Wait a minute. I never heard that before.
Helicopter politicians. When there is politics, when there is something to be shared, or when election is coming, they come into the constituency as if in a helicopter, get what they want and go away. You know, when IBB was president, he appointed a man called Professor Humphrey Nwosu. Humphrey Nwosu introduced what he called option A4. And he started with, you go to your own ward and stand there. The one I didn't like was open balloting. In other words, rather, a candidate will stand, everybody will know where. No. Secret balloting. But his own idea was good. I remember one prominent politician in Ondo, very prominent in Lagos in the media, but he lost in option A4. The people say, we don't know him. In today's politics, the commonest expression is Abuja has decided. I've been in the hotel for 3 weeks waiting to see Mr. President, waiting to see the party chairman. I already have the ticket. It's a waste of time. They say that with impunity, knowing that what they have said is what's going to happen. Party chairman, party secretary, when money is talking, the poor man knows what to do. Because the man with money has policemen. And if you talk, they bundle you out for causing confusion, for breach of peace. You spend the night in prison while the election is going on.
You don't even have a voice.
No, you don't have a voice. And anybody following you will know that following you is a waste of time. So they abandon you and follow the man who has the money. As we say in my part of this country, the goat follows the man who has the leaves. It is when you have something the goat will eat that the goat will follow you. So in today's world...
And that's perhaps the origin
Politics.
of entitlement mentality.
Entitlement mentality. In other words, what are we going to get? I've been with this party, I've been following this man, I have nothing. So they change. You see a virulent critic one day bowing and changing and shifting. Bola Tinubu is running in Lagos. You find somebody who has been criticizing him, the next day he's queuing up behind him. And then you notice nothing changes in Lagos.
But Chief, all that we're discussing today is how we're going to be able to change this, make it inclusive.
The first step was this, what the third movement, the one part of Tommy and others.
Yes, yes.
Unfortunately, they started very late. And now they're talking of adopting a power. If you really want to change what is going on in this country, start 4 years in advance. Go for fundamental changes starting from the grassroots. As it is, most of them are people on top, not at the bottom. There are some states, no matter what you say, there is really no voting except violent voting. I give you an example, Kanu. You don't talk of real people voting. You see 10-year-old, all they do is they line up because that man is the strong man. Or you go to Borno, there's really no voting because Boko Haram is there shooting. So in this country, we need a fundamental change. First is the professor who is in charge of INEC. I know him as a man who is straightforward, not easily swayed, but he can do more. This is his chance to stand up.
But, you know, it goes back to what we said. I mean, that's Abuja. What role can just one man in Abuja play if the structures at the local levels, the ward levels, are not strong enough to bear some of the weight that he's bearing with him?
I will tell you. First thing is he will let those in the states, because every state has a resident electoral commissioner. And the electoral commissioner does not work alone. The funding under our constitution is frontline charge for INEC. But I know that this government is not doing that. So let him stand up and insist. When he insists, he will now fund his various states so that they won't be looking towards the governor for funding. And when they start this campaign at the grassroots, led by the resident electoral commissioner, that every vote must count. And that's what people are waiting for. Believe you me, people at the grassroots are not happy with those at the top. And when a big man is kidnapped, man rejoices. He does not feel any sympathy because he thinks that big man is holding our money. So this entitlement mentality I'm talking of, quite often they say it's our money. But my advice to the poor man who is voting is that when the big man comes with the money to bribe you, collect it, but vote according to your conscience. How many people is he going to lock up? How many people is he going to beat?
Okay, Mr. Nyaitok, we're talking about, you know, politics at the local level. And there are those who contend, so, well, you are in the practice, so you'll be able to tell us some of the challenges on the field. Top-bottom approach in politics as opposed to bottom-up approach in politics. What's the challenge that we're having because it will seem like it's only when the top speaks that everybody does anything. When they speak at the lower levels, at the ward levels, nothing seems to happen. And I'm not sure that's the way the law designed it.
Okay, let me address, like I said, today's program, I wanted to lay a lot of fundamentals so that we know what is going on. I'll tell you one other very, very, very important fundamental. The man in power does a marathon, but the opposition will have to do a dash in Nigeria. In every system, you have to study it and understand it. Nigeria runs a system where we depend on government. So you don't expect the opposition to start too early. They plan and plan and plan. We've been planning. I want to tell Nigerians, we have been planning over 4 years. But you see, that one of coming together, let us see them. No. We are working very well, and things are working out very well. But remember this phrase: the man in power in Nigeria will do a marathon, but the opposition has to do a dash. Just that surprise element towards the finish line, and boom, you obtain. We are doing well, I can tell you this for a fact. And the opposition,
Well, I hope we get you back soon. You were talking about doing a dash, and then you began to slow down. Well, it's your network, not you. So there we are. Now, you have some messages on...
Well, yes, Festus says the problem is PDP and ADC are not inclusive. Therefore, they cannot
Did you say ADC or APC?
AP. Okay. APC, all progressives. Therefore, they cannot recruit talented individuals into elected offices from local government to national government because there's no internal democracy and transparency in these big parties and their leadership, leadership selection.
Well, Mr. Nyeretoke is back. Please go ahead.
Yes, so because of that, I want to encourage all the young people, Nigerians, go and register because there is a major surprise in the office. Let me tell you, a man like Kwankwaso is not a boy. I mean, he's politically, I mean, he knows what he's doing. For a man like that to leave PDP at this point, there's a reason. I can tell you 10 other people that if you hear the name, your ears will tingle. Nigerians, secondly, at the grassroots, I'm contesting for the governorship of Akwa Ibom State, and I can tell you that I have never seen that I will go for, I've done 23 out of 31 local government. There's not one place that they ask me to land. Ask an Akwa Ibom person what they mean by that. You can't go for a political campaign without them asking you to land. You sit down for 4 hours and talk to the people and enter your car and drive out. It has never happened. It's happening for the first time because people have seen through these people. We've enlightened them what government is, on what governance is. So the grassroots is being enlightened by us. And we're talking to them. We have where, you see, 6 months is a long time in politics. It can be very short. If you are strategic, 1 week is a long time in politics. Okay. And that's what we are doing now, enlightening the people. And the people are receiving because they are tired of the tricks of these people. Okay. So what I want to do is just encourage more people to go and get registered because there will be a credit law.
That's the agenda this morning. By the way, yes, we'll be sending you an invoice for all of that campaign you're already doing for your party.
Okay. Festus Akimboyewa again says, Chief, eligible Nigerians must register and vote for real change in 2023. Many Nigerians and indeed people across the world have died fighting for the right to vote and be part of democracy. If we want to have a voice in 2023 and beyond, we must register and vote. Simple. Yes. You agree, don't you?
Yes, I agree. And it's not an unlimited time. I think up to July or so, that's when that portal will still be open.
Okay.
So if they must register, let them start
Now.
today. But there is also one other thing I think happened yesterday, and as far as I'm concerned, it's an assault on democracy. The National Assembly passed a bill, Electoral Act, signed into law by Mr. President. Yes, he made an offer. He said, please amend and remove certain sections so that those who are working in government appointees can go and contest. The National Assembly said no when it came back. And what happened yesterday, we heard that a judge in Federal High Court, Mahia, has already acceded to that and has already deleted some portions, doing something unheard of in law, directing the Attorney General to amend. It's never done. 2, who were the parties to that case? All the political parties in Nigeria are supposed to be respondents. And when you file a case in Federal High Court, it's not like you file in 1 week today, the next 1 week, and within 3 weeks, the judgment is given. It's never done. You need 30 days for them to respond. Nobody responded, and nobody was anybody served? We don't know. I think all Nigerians should look into what is going on.
Well, most certainly that's something very, very concerning. For those who are wondering what that is about, go to channelstv.com. It's one of the headline stories right now where the Attorney General says they're going to go by what the court says because of Section 287 of the Constitution. Well, all of that you'll find on our website this morning.
cvr.inec.nigeria.org. That's where you start from. You need to register and you need to vote, because we are seeing signs that our votes are going to count in 2023 based on the amendments that were made, which the president has actually signed into law. Your vote will count. My vote will count. And guess what? I'm going to be #1 on the queue on election day.
Well,
time.
That's if you're not here.
I have not voted since option A4. But this time, I'm going to vote. Thank you very much.
Sounding like you're not going to come to work.
Not likely. Or I go and vote first, then I come to work and join you halfway through. Thank you very much. Chief Godwin Wazirike, a legal practitioner. And we had from Owerri, the founder, Nigeria First Initiative, Ezekiel Nia Etuk, governorship candidate.
And he will pay.
Thank you both for coming to share your insights with us this morning. Sunrise will be right back in a moment with another interesting conversation. Do join us.
Thank you.